Hi, I'm Sharon Spangler. Welcome to this Council Connections. I'm sitting here with Dave Aiazzi. And once again, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about the city's green priority because we're about to put another wind turbine in down at Mira Loma Park.
Yeah. There, we're going to be putting some on top of City Hall real soon, too.
That's pretty exciting. Just to back up a little bit, why don't you talk a little bit about why the city is doing the wind turbine project?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, we started off on going the green route a few years ago, I think before a lot of other folks did. So we were in place when a lot of the government sponsorships came in, so we had some money. Also, we've had some of the CREB financing, the Clean Renewable Energy Bond financing. I think we're the first in the state municipality to get those. So that enabled us to do a lot of these projects. Now for me, what the city of Reno is doing with the wind turbines in particular is we're putting up a bunch of different kind of wind turbines. We're not just going for what's the most effective right now. So I think there's a lot of misinformation about winds and how it gets used and do they make a lot of noise and how do they look. So I thought if we put up some different kinds, people would have a better sense of what it is. And I think that's what our role is also, sort of a demonstration project.
Now, are you going to put different ones next to each other so you can see how they are affected by the areas of the city?
Some will, like on top of City Hall, I think we're going to have 2 or 3 different kinds that go on. Some of it just depends on do you have enough wind. There's a fine line between having turbines and then a wind farm. If you have too many there, it becomes a wind farm. And you also can only generate as much electricity as the building you're on uses. So that limits you a little bit with NV Energy's program.
And this is a program that you're also going to be getting some money back from NV Energy?
Yes, I think on Wednesday we're getting a check from them. We've received, I got $1 million check from them a while ago for the solar project on top of the event center. And I wanted to go back a little bit. While you won't have all the wind turbines next to each other, on our website you'll be able to go see what every wind turbine is doing and our solar projects and how much power they're generating at any one time. So you can take a look at that. And if the wind's blowing pretty much the same throughout the valley, you could sort of see which one is doing better.
That's interesting. How did you go about figuring out which city properties to put them on?
Well, it's a very interesting process because we were so new in it. The CREB financing actually goes through the Internal Revenue Service. So you had to get way far in advance permission from them to put it on certain properties. So we had to make a bunch of modifications because we found out, like on solar, some of the buildings that we had presented before couldn't have solar on them. So we had to go we did a couple wind studies and just different things like that and got the Internal Revenue Service to agree to let us move some of those.
That's interesting. The Internal Revenue Service involved in wind power. Is this Obama stimulus money?
There's some stimulus money. CREB is different. What CREB financing is why the Internal Revenue Service, it's a deduction for people who buy them. So that's why people buy those and also why it doesn't cost the city of Reno anything. It gets paid back through the energy savings, and once they're all paid for, and it'll be about 15 years, but then the city of Reno will own them free and clear, and we'll start generating that money ourselves.
Had a number of solar projects. Are there any more solar projects down the line?
I don't believe there are any more right now. We've done the one on the event center and on the parking garage. There might be some on top of City Hall. I don't really remember anymore. We're sort of in we've done the solar, now we're in the wind, and hopefully we'll be moving to geothermal pretty soon.
Is that seriously?
I don't think the city we can't build one, but we're certainly been going on that regard to try to get businesses to move here that are investing in geothermal. That's what we think are the big new commerce should be in northern Nevada, is geothermal.
Which leads to my next question. I was party to a discussion by the executive board of the Nevada League of Cities, and they were talking about what does Nevada want to be when it grows up. And this group really felt the focus should be on education, manufacturing, and alternative energy. Do you see, and in particular, northern Nevada as being a center for alternative energy?
Well, I do, only because that's something that you can't manufacture anywhere else. If you have geothermal power, they can't move it to China or Japan. It has to be generated right here. And I do believe that we should be getting off of oil, and that's a great way to do it. But for Reno in particular, we don't have, from what I understand, we have geothermal around here, but it might be easier to get in other parts of northern Nevada, but we would like the companies to headquarter in Reno. Because I also don't want to be so proprietary that everything happens in Washoe County. What's good for northern Nevada is good for all of us. So if they put these plants out there, that would certainly help. And I also know that part of the Obama plan, they're getting money, I just heard Senator Reid say this, to build the first power lines from northern to south Nevada, southern Nevada, which really helps where you place these plants, whether it be geothermal or solar. It depends on how close it is to a power line. So that is really going to help also. Putting this on the, I think Nevada's one of the first ones that has a smart grid.
And that means they'll be able to move the energy up and down the grid?
Correct, but up north to south. Southern Nevada is probably a little better for solar energy because they get more sun than we do. We're better for geothermal, but if you don't have a way to get back and forth, then it doesn't really help us out.
It's fascinating. And then the manufacturing aspect of it, if you could lure some big companies here, maybe they could even start manufacturing some of their wind turbines or their solar panels and things like that right here in northern Nevada.
Absolutely. That would be very, very nice to do.
This is all part of a big plan that the city has, and part of the plan, and part of it here, right here at City Hall, is doing things like making sure that the lights are turned off, or the computers are turned off, or the heat is turned down, to save energy through conservation. And you've even come up with a way that this plan will pay for itself.
Yeah, that's what we're working with some other firms, and all the energy we save will go to pay back all these things that we're doing. So that it will pay for itself. I know that they did a test project in southern Nevada, NV Energy did, where they had just a few people allow them, is what sort of like the smart grid, to change their thermostats. Like in the middle of the day, if they lowered them by 2 or 3 degrees, it saved so many megawatts of power. It would be, I should go get that research again for you, because people usually aren't home during the day, and people agreed to that. It lowered their power bills, but it also saved a lot of energy.
Well, and you can save a lot of money if you get one of those thermostats that are pre-programmed so that it turns the heat down during the day.
They would be very, very, always good to have, as those programmable thermostats. They're very easy to put in.
On a different subject, what's happening with the idea of bringing a MRF to town that would actually recycle everything that we dispose of?
Yeah, Dirty MRF, I don't even remember what MRF stands for, but basically it's for everybody out there. You just take all your trash and recyclables and throw them in one trash container, and then whoever hauls it away hauls it to this Dirty MRF station, and they separate everything. Supposedly they get about 90% of that gets recycled.
That's an amazing idea.
We've got a couple people come forward with us on that, and in just a couple weeks ago we actually rezoned some property along 4th Street by the transfer station, so it'd be easier for a firm to come in and do that. We're still working with Waste Management. There's a couple other companies that are interested in that also.
So we're fortunate that despite some of the problems that the city has had financially, we have been able to still stay on that bandwagon with all the green projects and that priority.
Yeah, it's still the wave of the future for us to cut costs, and again, most of our green, like City Hall, one of our biggest things that people won't see is just changing out the heating and cooling system in here is going to save a lot of money. But retrofitting that's going to be a long-term investment that will pay off, but it's not costing the taxpayers anything right now, which is the best part of the deal.
And I'd be remiss not to mention the Reno Arch, changing out all the light bulbs on the arch.
Yeah.
Pretty much symbolic of saving
very
energy.
Symbolic. Very symbolic.
Thanks, Dave. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think I'll invite everybody to the Green Summit and hope you all bring your ideas. We've always tried to make this Green Summit not something that the city of Reno tells you what you should do, but more getting you to tell us what you'd like us to do in the city.
So there you have it. There's an upcoming Green Summit that will be June 17th from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Joe Crowley Student Union on the UNR campus. And is everyone invited to that?
Everyone's invited. Encouraged.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
And thank you all for joining us in this Council Connection.